Today we will be responding to a 30 minutes video that is supposedly celebrating the 2-year disappearance of Mama JF. And it's just a bunch of crap, delusional extrapolations. And I've been jungling in my head, do I respond to this kind of shit or do I not? Because this all comes from the Alberta Housewives, okay? A small YouTube channel. When I'm not on their show, the Alberta Housewives are doing 100 views, 500 views. The one show that I came to see them, they made 3K views. So I'm dragging attention toward people who are constantly lying about me. And there is a point at which you have to leave people behind because they're just too stupid. And I think we're pretty much at this point already with the Alberta Housewives. I've stopped interacting with them, but I want to show you how 30 minutes produced by a woman investigator can be filled with lies, demonstrable lies, misdating, misstatements, extrapolations that happen to be false. And I think that it is a epistemological experiment that we can do tonight, because we can show just after 1 month of obsession about me, these women still don't get it right. They don't have their dates correct, and they allow themselves to laugh about the RCMP, claiming what this guy needs is a proper interview by the RCMP, by the police of Canada. You don't know the kind of interviews I've went through. You have no idea of the competent work of the people of the RCMP. You have no clue, but blah, 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 blah. You make extrapolations based on emails. You're being trolled. You're being told things by people who are as unreliable as you. And, you know, it's my signature. In the end, it's my signature to always engage with the content, with the statements, demonstrate falsehoods, demonstrate truths. And I've decided that even if this is a very defamatory 30 minutes about me, okay? Literally, they're putting horror movie music on my face, like everything was going well in Mama JF's life until JF. It is something I could sue for. There's enough falsehoods in there that can make a case for absolutely reckless processing of the information, invasion of privacy of Mama JF in addition. And you know, when you do invasion of privacy, at least get it right. They claim Mama JF was on drugs. Mama JF has not been on any psychiatric medication or medical medication of any kind throughout my whole knowing her. So that is what happens when you listen to neighbors. That is an investigation you get when your base for facts is, hey, send me emails. Send me emails in case you were a neighbor. And tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel. Now you have feelings, interpreting feelings. You have 2 layers of womanry in this crap. And we're going to go through it. It's going to be an epistemological occasion to learn about how do you know things. And I wouldn't want normally to drag attention to this video because it's going to go into the sewers of the internet like all of these PPP and the Warski. Because these people have no relationship with the truth. They don't care about the truth. They care about their emotions and the vibe. If you care about the vibe, you don't deserve to be heard. New Guy Prime says, big question, how do we know anything? Exactly. And we know things, first, and this is something that wasn't done in this video. We know things by being aware of the ensemble of possibilities. See, this video has been produced with the assumption JF is a murderer. Mama JF was just a perfect woman, and there was a bump in her life, and it was JF, and all went downhill from there. And so when you start with a hypothesis, you're going to end up finding quasi-facts or claims or allegations that fit within your hypothesis, but you've never asked yourself, is there another way to interpret the same set of facts? The things that I'm sure about, what are they? how could I interpret them? What is the space of possibilities by which I could interpret these facts? Now, when you start asking yourself this, when you start going, okay, I have actually just one or two things that I'm really, really certain in this whole story. And these one or two things, they fit with 50 potential different stories, only one of which JF is a murderer. Now you realize how little you know. But they haven't gone through this. Of course, they're the Real Housewives of Alberta. In a way, credit for being so clear about it up front. We're listening to housewives who think they can become private investigators, because one of the Rocky, the main housewife who's after me, who's going on Facebook saying, "Oh, I'm sure he did it. I'm sure he did it. It's almost sure." This woman dreams of becoming a private investigator. I mean, given the kind of video that she produced here, she wouldn't be a very good investigator, but there might still be demand for that kind of stupid woman for family courts, because they will always find you guilty. They will always frame the whole thing as this was an abusive relationship. Alcyon says there's epistemology and then there is logic. People elevate the latter above the former. Big error. Absolutely, that's true. Logic is only a transactional authority over different subsets of facts and subsets of mechanisms. But in the end, if you don't ask yourself first and foremost, how do I know these things, and what is my level of certainty? And ultimately, if I go back to what I'm really, really certain about, what do I know? We'll see how it goes when you don't ask these questions. By the way, I've now enabled entropy, so there are now three ways to send your super chats. You can use Streamlabs, entropy, or Rumble, because some people have come to me and have said they have difficulty. I thought that Streamlabs, you were just putting your credit card and it worked, but some people are telling me it's harder for them, so I'm giving entropy back as an option for those for whom it would be easier. So, by the way, I've made an effort across the years with respect to Mama JF. I've made an effort to not mention things that are derisive about her, and I will continue this effort. Now, that being said, this video mentions some of the things that I would not generally talk about. So I'll respond to them, but like, for example, the use of her real name. I've never done this. Now, they use her real name, so I'll respond to it and I'll show it on screen, but in my view, I've always had the responsibility of calling her Mama JF because that was her chosen pseudonym, and I would that's what I would prefer. But in order to make a response that's sensical, we will engage with whatever they show, including the nudes of Mama JF. They include the nudes of Mama JF, and they find a way to turn them into positive light. It's amazing what they do here. It's the whole theme of this video is JF is evil, Mama JF is totally fine.
Laura Patoine was born in Montreal, Quebec. Her mother was a sculptor, her father a physicist. She had one brother and one sister. Very little is known about Alora's early life. Her family, French-Canadian and private, have chosen not to speak publicly about her or her disappearance. What we do know is this: Alora was...
I can't believe they've done an AI image of Mama JF playing violin in a dress, given that there was evidence that Mama JF had played violin naked or had gone crazy at some party at some point. And so they reframed this as her playing in a European street, trying to get some money collection here. That is shocking to me. When I see this image, it's shocking because there is such a contrast between the real story and this image. This image is meant to embellish the story of Laura Patois into a myth, but the reality is she had to deal with the police for playing this violent naked. Coronal mass ejection going off, she had to realize she would cause trouble for JF. That is a good question. To what extent, Mama JF, when she left, did she knowingly cause the issues in my life? I'm on the fence on this. I'm not judging her very much because in the end, the trouble that has been caused by her disappearance is not her fault. It's the fault of the system. It's the fault of the police having this concept of a disappeared woman. You have the right. If you don't have the right to disappear without annoyance, then the state has the right to track you at all times. That is the dichotomy here, the moral dichotomy. Are we in a world where we can live independent of the state, or we're not? And this whole conception of a disappeared woman is in violation of people's liberty to dispose of themselves.
Creative and curious, she studied mechanics at EMEMM, a trade school in Montreal.
That is true. Now Mama JF discovered. Mama JF once told me, I went into this mechanics class because my family was telling me you have to do something with your life. And so I thought, I can do anything. I'll be a mechanic. And she started learning. But in the end, she's too feminine of a woman to be a good mechanic. Some women can do some mechanic work, but it's like you have to pull the rusty tires, and it was just too much. She couldn't pass at the end of the course. She couldn't pass all of the necessary tests that would have made her a mechanic. So that's the story of Mama JF's study in mechanics.
She played the violin, she loved cooking, and she was bold. According to Alora herself, she was wild, brave, impulsive. She once traveled to Europe alone, with no plan, no connections, just went.
See? So instead of just stating this, why not reevaluate your hypothesis? So you have from the mouth of the woman herself, you know that she is adventurous, that she is going out there. You know she left people behind in the past without any information about where she was headed. You know that, and she has admitted doing that kind of thing. So how, instead of just stating this and trying to frame her as, oh my God, what a beautiful creative individual, why don't you reinterpret it in light of your entire hypothesis? Which is, JF is lying. She cannot possibly have left. No, she can possibly have left because she's been doing it all the time. In fact, JF changed nothing in her life about this. She has constantly put people into suffering around her because she kept running away. Parents not knowing where their daughter is, brothers and sisters not knowing if she's safe, and now JF not knowing where she is. So the Real Housewives here fail at, when you introduce a fact in your thesis that you know for sure is true, because they took it from Mama JF's statement on her own video, you need to reinterpret the whole of your hypothesis. Doubting Thomas says, JF, imagine if it became the expectation and the norm that both corporate and independent media would be forced to personally back up their reporting and prediction claims on a platform like Polymarket. That would be interesting. There may be an idea there that you had. This, I've never heard of this being done. You may have a genius idea there. What if the mechanics of reporting were associated with a cost? And if you want to go against the truth, you pay, and eventually you become bankrupt. Very interesting, very interesting. Now, the truth is always hard to get because even Polymarket isn't the truth. Polymarket is what is people's attempt at monetizing the truth.
She called the trip incredible.
I went to the rainbow the rainbow gathering in Slovakia, and this was a big rainbow that was like, maybe 10,000 people. It was like huge, okay? And it was a big, they make a European one. So there was a lot of people there. I met some friends there.
Les acras yoga.
Yeah. And with your...
Now, this is very poorly presented. Because it's presented as, oh, look, just a bunch of hippies with the beach towels. And oh, a fire and people dancing to drums. Let us not forget what rainbow is. Rainbow is a bunch of coked up, speeded up, ecstasy tripping hippies in the fucking forest. Dirty, drugged, rave teenagers and adults. That is what rainbow is. It's not just a fire, it's not just beach towels. So if you want a fair narrative, Mama JF was living a life of party. But they don't even get to that point. Now, I'm fine with Mama JF being a party girl. I've known her from the beginning to be that, so it's not like she lied to me about it. But if you want to make a real video about the real rave, the real life of rave of Mama JF, you need to say it. It's not just a bunch of drummers here. You go there, you smell drugs. There is people offering you much more hardcore drugs than pot, and that is what the rainbow is.
In 2012, students in Montreal took to the streets to protest a tuition hike. The students organized a nearly...
They published the nudes of Mama JF, nude in the Montreal streets doing bike. So this is what I was dealing with. I was dealing with a super crazy female. Now, I'm okay with this. I can handle it. Papa JF is capable. That's why I've chosen, okay, let's go with this girl, even if she's crazy. But let's not forget, Mama JF was, even within a party of crazies, she would be at the top. I mean, she was bringing me at these places sometimes, and people were whispering like, oh, this is... They didn't call her Mama JF. She had another nickname on the streets. And they were like, oh yeah, that's her. Yeah, she's here. She was so crazy that even among the drugged up, ecstasy-fueled crazies, she was standing out. And sometimes being taken out of raves, sometimes being kicked out, sometimes being the only one naked when everyone else is not naked for a protest. So, no judgment here, but we are dealing with a very special woman, and any sort of application of normal reflections that the housewives will allow themselves later doesn't work with Mama JF because you don't understand. You don't understand the psychology of Mama JF. I understand it. I think that very few people truly understand it. Even among our proximate family, I don't think they fully understand the extent of, let's call it just non-pejoratively, the craziness of Mama JF. But we are talking about someone out there, completely in a parallel track than the usual normie that you know of.
Naked protest, stripping down to only red underwear to march for their cause. Laura, in her unconventional fashion, appeared fully...
In her unconventional fashion. Yes, that is very unconventional.
Nude, riding a bicycle with a trailer...
And they generate that. I find these cute. These little AI images of me and Mama JF. I think they tried to suggest the violence of JF with his knife. But... I find this pretty cute. JF loves Elora 2018.
Towing her equally disrobed friend. But somewhere in her online past, a different...
Look at that. Suddenly, the murderer arrives in the picture. JF, with a dark look, looking seriously to the camera. This is out of context. This is very typical of these little montage. out of context. This is probably me looking frustrated at the camera because Blithering Genius is bullshitting me about the revolutionary phenotype, or some people on the regular chat are bullshitting me or trying to violate the TOS to get me in trouble. And yet they put it there as if I embark in Mama JF's life as a frustrated, angry man.
The story begins to unfold. Through an old Twitter account, we can see that Laura first made contact with a man named Jean-Francois Garapi when she was just 17.
Absolutely false. Absolutely false. Mama JF has never contacted me when she was 17. And see this, they can't help it. They need some pedo angle to this. And they'll stretch the truth. It's impossible that Mama JF contacted me when she was 17. Mama JF contacted me where they're wrong here. They took the date of creation of her Twitter account, which was when she was 17, and they assumed, oh, well, that's the Twitter account she communicated with JF to. So current time minus 17 minus the date of creation of her Twitter account. She talked with JF when she was 17. Absolutely false. Mama JF contacted me for the first time either in end of 2017 or beginning of 2018, which places her at 26 years old. She did so using her teenager past Twitter account. So she just kept that Twitter account between 17 and 26. At 17 years old, when Mama JF created this Twitter account, it was for discussing with her high school teacher then. It had nothing to do with me. I wasn't her high school teacher. So this is where the delusional aspect of these women. They can take a account founded in and completely drift away from reality. How can you state this without verifying? How can you not check your own thinking? Check your own thinking. And here's the thing. The professor that she contacted had a Quebecois name. But I don't think he had a Quebecois name that's exactly like mine or even mistakable for mine. I don't remember what was his name, but I remember she had one tweet basically, and it was Mama JF making an error, thinking that the public tweets are the DMs. And she was speaking to her high school teacher at 17 years old, not understanding Twitter, thinking that, hey, whatever I type on there, my high school teacher will receive it. Greatest Whitest says, the editor managed to find a video of JF angrily flailing his arms. Haha, what a hit piece. Yeah, very poor work. When you take out of context, because as a public personality with hours of me on the internet, 1 hour, 2 hours every day for my whole life, I can be theatrically displaying anger. The reality is I'm very hard to become angry, and I don't even remember in the last decades when would be the last time I've been genuinely angry. The reality is when you see me yelling after Blithering Genius because he fails at understanding the revolutionary phenotype, that is comedy, that is acting. It's what you have to do to be a public personality, because you can't feel emotions all the time thinking about Iran and talking about Israel and talking about scientific theories. Eventually, all of this feels very normal to you. Like, I can't be here talking about, Iran has been struck, or Israel has been struck, and display emotions, because you can't feel emotions for these things when you're bathing in it. So there is theatrical displays of anger when it fits, when it's interesting. But if you take these theatrical displays and now you work with the assumption that this is JF in his personal life, now you've already made a false assumption, and it guides you toward a complete misunderstanding of my relationships and my everyday life. The people in my everyday life, they don't experience a guy who's frustrated or yelling. The people in my everyday life, they don't experience my public stubbornness, because it's not how I am.
JF, as he's known, claimed he wasn't single at the time, so he put her in a queue, waiting until he was, his words, not ours.
So this is true, but it's not at 17-year-old that I've put Mama JF in a queue. It's at 25, 26 that she must have been then. And I then contacted her many months after. After then, I was single. So when I became single, I said, okay, there was this girl on Twitter that had sent me a message. Let's go see what it's all about. And I called her, and our first phone conversation, it was like, she was like, oh, bro, I can't believe you're calling me. And she was slurring on the phone and very hard to understand. And I was like, what have I fallen into here? Like, am I going to come to her apartment and she's like a blob of fat with incapable of speaking? Why is she slurring that much? But no, it's because she was living a life of drugs and party, and she was slurring because because when you smoke that amount of pot, your speech eventually loses its structure. So, I mean, the discussion was like, oh yeah, okay, so now I'm single. And I'm like, do you want me to come see you? And she says, yeah, come see me at my apartment. And I was 1 hour from Montreal then. So I said, I'm going to drive 1 hour and I'll see you at your apartment. And there she was, Mama JF, ready to start a life with me. It took a lot of effort to take her out of this street life that she was living. A lot of effort, lots of discipline. And man, addiction brings you back easily. And she was like instinctively fleeing me at the beginning of our relationship. But I was like very disciplined. Like, okay, I have all my day to manage this woman. So if she runs away to go get some drugs on the side in Montreal, I'm driving to Montreal. I'm picking her off the street. No, Mama Jeff, you go into my car. You're my girlfriend now. You can't hang out with these drugged up homeless anymore. So that was the beginning of our relationship, literally stripping her off the street and fixing her life. I remember when I took her out of her apartment, which was covered in insects and drug and her graffiti, her graffiti material. I took her out, and there were guys that were in her life then. And they saw me do this. They saw me take all of our drugs. And I was like, all right, we're throwing this to the trash or we're giving it to someone. I don't want any drug that you bring with you. And they were like, oh, so I think she's going to be good with you, bro. I think you're doing the right thing. And if you take her out of this environment, she's going to be cool. The guy was telling me this, a guy on the streets who knew about her. So those are the bumpy beginnings of our relationship.
Jean-Francois Garapi is a self-proclaimed high IQ internet personality. Performing.
Is it self-proclaimed, really, when you've passed the test? I've passed my first IQ test publicly on Warski Live, and it came out at 129, despite the stress, despite me paying attention to super chats and everything.
Neuroscience researcher with a PhD. But behind that academic title is a string of deeply concerning behaviors.
Deeply concerning behavior. I have lured an autistic teen in pregnancy plot, i.e., I have tried establishing a family with a woman who was a teen because she was 19, but she was an adult. And I have lured her into wanting a family with me and choosing that she wanted a family with me. Concerning. Absolutely concerning. Now, ask any of these people, can autistic people have dating lives? Because it's like, yeah, we're feeling great together, the first thing I hear when I meet truly autistic women who end up being my girlfriends is, wow, you're so different from the normie guys. We fit so much together because life is better, because we care for the same things, because the normie guy will put all sorts of pressure on you that An autist man will not. Pressure for social conformism, pressure for showing up in a certain way in front of the family, concerns about what will my mom think about you, what will my cousin think. None of these things are matters to the autist. Now, what kind of society do you want? Do you want a society where autists can be paired together and live happily ever after? Or do you want to pursue them through hit pieces, even when they engage in consensual relationships? Those are the two possibilities. You either go at them, you either have a eugenic anti-autist project, or you don't. And it seems that Rocky does.
A disturbing pattern with young, vulnerable women. He's been married and divorced 3 times.
So this is the law. This is the law case where, because this adult woman wanted to be with me and her father disagreed, he started a law case to find her incompetent. And he paid these lawyers who lied, and he got this judge who would obviously side with him so that he could deprive the liberty of his daughter to come out with a Giga Chad Bitcoin millionaire. Now, go ask this woman today, this 19-year-old that I was with, that was in what, 2016 maybe? 2016. Go check this woman. Go check on her. And ask her, is she with a Giga Chad scientist, PhD, Bitcoin millionaire? Probably not. And so, this is a case where her father had such hatred against me that he paid potentially tens of thousands to these lawyers to make up a false case to deprive the liberty of his daughter to go out with a successful man. That is an absolute denial of the female freedom to choose. And I can guarantee you that right now, if she's with anyone, she's with a man of lesser quality, lesser honor, lesser wealth, and lesser capacity to care for her.
In his 3rd marriage, his ex-wife accused him of threatening to take their newborn to Canada. Just one day after birth.
Absolute lie that one of my exes said to the court to make the case that I was a danger to my children. He threatened to run to Canada with his children. I've never did. There's no recording of me doing this. I denied it in court. I was not sued for for lying in court. And so you have here a fact that was denied in court. If you claim that I've lied when I denied that accusation, then you claim that I have committed a crime. You claim that I have committed perjury.
Birth. She also alleged emotional abuse.
Oh yeah, he's a narcissist. Okay, based on what facts? Well, he's a narcissist. You know how this Calloway reached this conclusion that I'm a narcissist? So Calloway was a psychologist paid by my ex to make the case that I shouldn't be in charge of my own children. Calloway made me pass a test of mental health psychology in which I check boxes, like really not deep, really like, do you have hallucinations? No. Do you feel this? No. Yes. No. Yes. No. And the result of the test was indicative that I was in such mental health that it's unrealistic. And that what's probably happening, she said, because he scores too high in mental health. She says what's probably happening is he's tricked the test. He's too mentally healthy. This must indicate that he's a narcissist or he's a schizophrenic who is so paranoid about the test that he's lying on the answers. So I scored, for one of these times, a human being scores as perfectly mentally healthy, and their first reaction is to conclude, well, he must have some deep mental trouble. So basically, your test will always conclude that anyone is mentally disordered. Either they admit it on the test, or they're too perfect, and then that's because they're schizophrenic. Absolute bullshit psychological conclusion, but in family court, who cares? Whatever the psychologist says, the judge will listen.
But behind that academic title is a string of deeply concerning behaviors and a disturbing pattern with young, vulnerable women.
Pattern. So it doesn't the magic of this word that it's a word that's used by the cock blocker, social worker, psychologist woman of this world. They love the term pattern because they can take the sum of individual actions that are all legal and consensual and fine and ethical, but if they gather them together, now they can see a pattern of abuse. Oh, well, what is the action of abuse that I've committed? Did I beat someone? No. There's a pattern of abuse. You don't have an action of abuse. We never have a recording of you even yelling at a woman or in the presence of a woman. We don't have anything close to even verbal abuse, let alone physical abuse. But you have a pattern of vulnerable woman. Now with this, anyone can be an abuser.
He's been married and divorced 3 times. In his 3rd marriage, his ex-wife...
I actually consider that I've been married and divorced 5 times. But certain of these marriages were not official.
...accused him of threatening to take their newborn to Canada. Just 1 day after birth, she also...
Not true. False allegation by my ex in order to secure full custody of our children.
...also alleged emotional abuse. During the same time period of his 3rd marriage, a Duke University undergrad reported an inappropriate sexual relationship with him.
Absolutely false. There was no inappropriate relationship with this undergrad. This undergrad is Diana Z, and I have engaged in a consensual relationship with her. We were working together in the lab, and she was in love with me very clearly, and she made advances. And when she started making these advances, I said, look, just in case that this would be perceived as you're too young and we're in a different generation of studies, like I was in my postdoc, she was an undergrad. I said, you're going to have to respect the rules of Duke University, and you're going to have to write to our superior to say, I want to engage in a consensual relationship with him, which she did. So I said, until you do that, I cannot entertain a relationship, because there's a rule at Duke that if you are in a relationship with a colleague, you need to tell the boss, the common boss of the 2 colleagues, this is consensual. And so she did it. I still have the email. So this is not a inappropriate. What does it even mean? Inappropriate. We were both single, working together. She falls in love with me because, of course, I have this whole aura of, hey, I can teach you monkey physiology and all. And like it often happens in a relationship of teaching and kind of authority and superiority, the male scores. I scored. This is not a inappropriate relationship. John Drake says, every clip is disparaging. It's fucking hilarious. Oh, yeah. You can see the intent.
While she was his research assistant, she described emotional abuse.
Absolutely not. What does that mean, emotional abuse? What have I done to Diana Z? She has never said, because I've never done anything wrong to Diana Z. Now, Diana Z was a fucking insane woman. Let's be clear. Diana Z was a borderline fucking insane woman who would do things like threats of suicide, who would literally lay out flames around her in the bathroom and say, I'm gonna kill myself today if you don't do this or that. Now, she is a woman who I have once described on this show as the octopus woman, because one time she was doing these crazy threats, and I was like, okay, this woman is a liability in my life at this point. So given that she's Asian, I can pick her up and place her in a place where she's not a liability anymore, which is outside of my door, which I did. And the immediate reaction of her was to throw her limbs, including her legs and her arms, to try to hang out to the frame of the door. And I said, all right, you are evicted from my life. You have been causing too much trouble. I can't live with I can't live with a fucking tortured borderline woman. And so you are evicted from my house. I locked the door, and the squid was out of my life. That is what happened with the NXZ. Now, I don't know what in what I do. I don't know what you would call emotional abuse. I'm faced with a fucking insane psychiatric case. I'm trying to make her life better, trying to not be escalating anything. I'm trying to take care of her. And at some point, I'm like, okay, that's too much. Bye-bye. There's no emotional abuse in the program here. There was emotional abuse on her part. Certainly, when they start making these threats, it's to get at you emotionally. But I don't bite because I'm a very intelligent guy. And you see this poker face? It's not just a poker face. It's poker brain. I actually am capable of handling a lot of suffering without ever becoming angry.
Insisted it was consensual.
I fell in love with a woman who was mentally retarded.
So that's a clip taken out of context because I said, well, she was argued to be mentally retarded. I have always stated, including in that very interview, if you were to take just the later sentence, I say, well, there's these people who claim that she's mentally retarded. I deny this because, in fact, the 19-year-old autist with whom I wanted to build a family was a very intelligent woman, a student of a university, in a college. She was driving. She was not retarded at all. In fact, if you argue that she was unable to make decisions for her life, that would effectively make 99% of the sexual relationships on this planet are rapes. Because most women, the vast majority of women, were more stupid than this girlfriend.
She had autism.
Like, how bad was the autism?
Her father disagreed with her choice to live with me, to become my fiance and to have a baby with me. So we lived together a few months.
When you have to add horror music, there's something wrong. Yes, I do claim the right to have a family and to engage consensually with autistic women who come to me and fall in love with me. That is what happened with this woman. She drove through half of the country, half of the US, to come to me because she wanted to live with me. And she was frustrated that her father didn't allow this. But she was an adult. So I'm like, the father is calling me and he's like, JF, you can't go out with my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And I have her saying, no, I want to be with you. Let's build a family. Let's go. So I'm like, I have to judge this situation here. What should I do? Should I reject the liberty of the female to come with me? I don't think I should, because there are very poor parents. There are boomer parents out there who don't understand the world, and they don't have the proper drive. They want to be overprotective of their daughters, and their daughters miss opportunities because of this. And I'm like, so this woman has all of the legal rights to act as an adult. I've looked at her driver's license. It doesn't say retarded on it. I've looked at her studies. She studies at the university, not in a retarded or special program. So I'm like, I cannot offer authority over a woman to our own boomer father. I can't. And the fact is, I know I'm a good catch. Now, whether she wants to believe this or not, whether Rocky or the House of Alberta Wives, Housewives of Alberta want to believe this, I don't care. The fact is, objectively, I have demonstrated capacity to handle extremely mental cases in my life, to make them better, and to care for their children and our children together, to provide, sustain, and even expand in wealth, and to have the financial security for the rest of my life and potentially for the next generations. how many men can say this? How many men can even claim that they're close to this anyhow? 1% of men? This 0.1% of men? So it's like, yeah, her father made a terrible decision by interfering with her relationship, but so be it. Your genes go into the fucking trash. Do you hear me? To this guy, I'm talking straight to her father right now. Your genes are going to the trash. I could have elevated them so much, but fuck it. You're due for the trash. You deserve the trash that you live in forever.
And since her father was disagreeing with our relationship, he intervened by going to what we call in the United States a ex parte probate hearing. Which
Why have all these images of me with these weird eyes? Those are captured on the instant, you know. It's not an actual eye position that I have. It's just that if you film yourself for hours, there will be a screenshot of you that you can get that way.
Which is a judiciary hearing in which you are found to be mentally incapable of making decisions as an adult.
Yes, he's disgusting. But let's...
He's disgusting. Okay, so it's not... The problem is not that there are courts that can deny women freedom to choose their husbands. The problem is not that they can act without any sort of due process in your absence. No, the problem is JF is disgusting. Yeah, because you took a disgusting picture, combined it with a disgusting fake story, and you have refused to take a bold stance. Rocky, tell me about it. Are you against autistic adult women pursuing love? And are you for a eugenic program that keeps autistic people from forming families? I'd like to know.
Let's get back to the focus and talk about Laura and JF and their love affair.
Their love affair. Bro, how many men in the world have this kind of graffiti made before they initiate a relationship with a woman? Now, it's not that I've ordered this graffiti to be made. This graffiti is a testament to... if their hypothesis is true, because they believe that Mama JF made this graffiti. I will not take public position on this. You can have a look at the video. Maybe the person resembles Mama JF. Maybe it's Mama JF. Whatever. Mama JF or someone made a graffiti in Montreal. There was a series of graffiti. One was saying Richard Spencer, great guy, Andy Warski, Hal. 14 words, and then JFGT, king of the world. And they dare so their love story. Bro, it's very clear. If your hypothesis is true that this graffiti comes from Mama JF, it's very clear that she was very much in love with me. There is nothing better than to be with a husband that you consider to be the king of the world. Now, let me tell you, I was not aware of those graffitis. I mean, I knew that the graffitis had been made. But when I started my relationship with Mama JF, I had no clue that people would eventually claim that Mama JF did these graffitis. I had no clue. But then, now that I hear this hypothesis, it makes me say, wow, she loved me. She loved me for real. And I believe that Mama JF came in my life not so much like loving me in the normie way. I think she came with an admiration of me, king of the world, but that she wanted to be my queen for a moment, and then she would go away. I think she wanted basically to give me a family, give me babies, and then drift away. That is how I interpret her arrival in my life and potentially this graffiti.
So infatuated, Alora was caught in the face.
So that's the video that is claimed to be revealing her identity, that it would be her. I don't know. It's a very blurry video.
a building in Montreal as a declaration of her love for her favorite online personalities.
What Alora is wearing in this video is pretty much the exact outfit she was reportedly last seen in by JF.
That seems unrealistic. That doesn't look like a full leather jacket. Her backpack, she changed it eventually. I don't agree with this statement.
Grappy.
I said, again, graffitis. Actually, I didn't know what it was about. And it's always frustrating. Got to paint over again. I looked up the name and I put a heart. Maybe they didn't want people to think it was anything not extreme, but...
Personally, I think it's adorable that she used pink and added hearts and smiley faces.
They moved
Well, okay. Anytime something is adorable, it's from Mama JF. If something is creepy, it's from JF. I think it's you should integrate these facts to your hypothesis. If you're gonna believe this was Mama JF, then she really was admiring of me to an extent that is hardly matched. Like, it's very rare that you have a woman that intense into a man. So it was a legitimate love story, not a love story. It was a legitimate relationship based on admiration of the male, which is how it's supposed to work.
moved to O'Leary, Prince Edward Island. Population under 1,000. Alora bought them a small home. She was ready to start a family.
In 2020, Alora applied for a permit to add on to the home with storage and a greenhouse. The approximate costs were quoted to be $22,000.
You've seen, if you've been following my channel, you know all about this. You've seen me build the greenhouse and try to extend this house, make some reparations, floors, install the dishwasher. We've improved this house to an extent, made it more viable. It was a very cheap house, and we were successful at selling it higher than we bought it.
The greenhouse was put up haphazardly. It was definitely not worth $22,000. There is a giant hole being...
we do what we can, but yeah, I tried building a greenhouse that wouldn't cost too much, but I would say the materials were about $10,000 because these plastic sides are worth a lot.
Being dug by JF in the backyard for quite some time. He reportedly stated it was for an addition to be added onto the home.
So yeah, I've been digging a concrete foundation, a spot, so that we could extend the home. That was in the idea that we would at some point have more than 2 babies. But Mama JF eventually decided that it wouldn't happen, so I didn't need any more to build that house extension.
Addition that never came. Many people are wondering why RCMP have not walked the property with cadaver dogs, as there are...
Because Mama JF has been seen. She has been seen in another province. And you wouldn't send a cadaver dog to a place where she couldn't possibly have come back without leaving trace. See, PEI is a very, very special place. It's a place that you can only enter through one bridge. It's an isolated island with a single bridge. If you come back into PEI, there are cameras on this bridge that will capture you. If you come out of PEI, there are cameras that will see you coming out. Now, Mama JF, I dropped her on the PEI side of that bridge. 2 days later, she was seen on the other side of the bridge in Moncton, relatively far from the bridge. So she had done some traveling and had gone into another province on her own. Why would you send cadaver dogs into the PEI house where she cannot be in, without any evidence that this house was the seat of a murder.
Very many suspiciously dug spots.
Absolute insanity. They now claim, based on emails that they have received, that there are people in town who say, when I pass with my dog in front of this house, my dog smells something. There must be the body of Mama JF in JF's little lettuce gardener. They think that the body of Mama JF, it must be in the lettuce gardening cube that I created to display a couple of lettuce on my front yard and grow them, in addition to what we already had in the greenhouse. People will remember I have shown this lettuce mini garden when I debated against Stick, Saxon, Hammer. Now there is a rumor developing according to these emails that, hey, when I pass in front of this, the dogs are attracted. The dogs are attracted to this. There must be the body of Mama JF. Nonsense. The body of Mama JF, if she's dead, is very unlikely to be on PEI, since she was drifting away from PEI and was seen out of PEI. That was Mama JF filming this. It was at the time where we didn't have yet the permanent panels on the greenhouse, so we had wrapped it in a temporary plastic. Eventually, I came to build the permanent panels of the greenhouse with the plastic covers.
Specifically, the planters on the property.
My lettuce planter. They believe that Mama JF is in my lettuce planter. Bro, dogs will go at these things instinctively. I mean, it seems like designed as a place for dog peeing. Of course, if I'm a dog, I want to pee on this corner. And it's accessible, it's close to the street, it's tempting. There's probably lots of other dogs that have already peed on it. Unbelievable, these people. This is why I titled Delusional. They take certain facts and they completely misinterpret it. Greatest Whitest says, JF, genius murderer. Also JF, sloppy disposer of evidence. It's like, don't you think that if the body of Mama JF was in this lettuce planter, don't you think the RCMP would have an easy thing to do here? They could just walk around with their dog. They may not even need a warrant or anything. They could get a warrant, that would be no problem, and a judge would give them, because if it's a suspicion of murder, they can do whatever. They can sample your DNA against your consent. They can withhold you for periods of time, and they can get into your house.
Apparently, animals will stop at the planters and act suspiciously.
Bro, it's unbelievable that the feeling of knowing that I haven't killed Mama JF and that Mama JF's body is not in this planter, but also knowing that people are so retarded that they come with their dogs and misinterpret the behavior of their own dogs. And I'm supposed to be the clueless one in all of this. I'm supposed to be the one who has no self-awareness of the grave things that he's saying and of his misunderstanding of other people's emotion. You can't understand a dog because you're retarded. You can't understand a dog.
In 2020, JF and Alora celebrated the birth of their first child, a daughter. She was born at home with the support of a doula. Alora was said to be a very loving, natural, and doting mother.
She was said. Who gave you this information? All people who were sympathetic to Alora and not sympathetic to me. Pretty based what happened though. I like the aspect where I get to review these years of my life.
Whether it was stress from the birth of their first child, or
where did this freak find all the photos? Well, presumably some neighbor took photos of the house. But if you're talking about the other photos, they are AI generated, so they probably generated these things through AI.
or Laura constantly being demeaned and emotionally abused.
I never demeaned Laura, never demeaned Mama JF. They will try to take some segments of the shows where she appears and will try to make the case that that's me demeaning Mama JF. Not true at all. They completely misinterpret those clips.
Used by JF, we'll never know. All we know is there's trouble in paradise. Laura.
The trouble in paradise is that Mama JF is getting called back to the street. After our first child, she was feeling like going back to party life.
Finally at her breaking point, feeling unloved and very
Where do you get that it's a breaking point? It's a breaking point in the sense that, when you suddenly stop smoking pot and you've been smoking it for years and years, you eventually feel the need to go back to pot. That's the breaking point. But of course, they present this as, it's a breaking point in the toxic relationship. You have no facts indicating that it's a toxic relationship. What's more toxic? Being in raves, doped on cocaine and ecstasy and speed and weed, or being a mother? What's more toxic?
She finally left JF and sought solace with her family. Shortly after that,
solace. She went to her family and she had the same problem with her family that she has with me, which is she feels a need to go back to the street. And neither being with me, neither being a mother, neither being with her family in Montreal is this need satisfied. And so they are as helpless as I am into retaining her in any form of way. She wants to go back to the streets.
JF announced that Alora had 24 hours to return to the home, or there were 7 other women in queue who would take her spot happily.
Best bluff of my life. I got Mama JF back in my life for 2 years and producing a baby with this bluff that you're about to see. Best bluff of my life. Now, it wasn't a full bluff. People who know poker, you'll know that sometimes you have good cards, but it's like you're not sure, so you bluff. You don't bluff in the sense of having nothing, but you semi-bluff. Let's call it a semi-bluff.
Val says, I think it's not so much hostility rather than trust broken. Also, don't you think there should be consequences even if she were to come back? Otherwise, what lesson would be learned? No, you're totally right. I don't want to be too kind either. Someone who betrays your trust and leaves like that must be there must be some limits to their behavior, or else they will constantly.
I think it's a totally reasonable position. If in a couple, there is always an inducer of anarchy. There is always someone who wants to be more unstable than the other. That person's behavior must be in check, must be within some bounds of acceptability. Because if you let someone put children through, I'm disappearing this week and I'm reappearing the other week, and now I need drugs, I'm out. If you let children live through too many cycles of this, you mess them up. So they're trying to present this as, this is a controlling JF. No. It is a JF that is making sure that the environment of the family is in a healthy place. And you don't want to have too much disappearance and reappearance. If someone is not ready to live the family life, they better go away.
Do it. So clearly, if Mama JF decides to come back, it will have to be on a very short window. So it would have to be within 24 hours, because I can literally have another woman within 24 hours.
That is the semi-bluff, in the sense that I had organized this show where I solicited applications for the title of Mama JF number 2. And there were women contacting me. So honestly, they were not super interesting. One of them was fat. Oh man, I'm just having visions of what could have been, of the quantum. I'm in the quantum world right now, and the universe just veers toward the left, and I'm being like sumo fucked by a 600-pound woman. I have been that close. I almost had to have sex with this fat woman. But see, that's what the alpha does. I doubled down, I rebluffed, I re-raised. And Mama JF came back and produced a baby that today is at the center of my life. So sometimes you have to be greedy sometimes. That was greedy of me. Because here I am in a situation where Mama JF has gone, left the family. She's in her life of party in Montreal. She then came back and told me about this life. She was basically sitting on a couch. They had taken a couch from an apartment and they had brought it into a public park in Montreal. They were smoking pot on the couch, open sky couch, and she was hallucinating on, maybe we can build a new form of community here. Maybe we can build a castle or something. And from Mama JF's mouth herself, when she came back and told me about this 2 weeks that she spent in Montreal, she told me, and then I realized sitting on that couch that this made zero sense. That I'm not going to build a fucking castle. There's not going to be a community, an open community in the public park of Montreal. She had reasoned herself back into my life. She had come back because it's preferable. It was a good decision for her to come back. Can you imagine being either on a couch in Montreal with homeless guys just all around you, sometimes giving you drugs, sometimes begging drugs from you, versus being a mother? She chose the right thing. She chose the right thing on that day when she came back.
Right here living with me, so...
And it is thanks to my bluff, my aggressive bluff, that she came back. Sorry, people are reporting lag. Rocky must be furiously deploying her DDoS attacks. She doesn't want the truth to come out. But yeah, I will stand against anyone who says, JF, you've done that was wrong. It was wrong of you to do the Wheel of Fortune contest, soliciting women, even if it successfully allowed you to bring back the mother of your children home for 1-2 more years. I say, I did it, and I stand by it.
There's this, and I would expect a change of behavior, a respect of what I bring here. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, in a relationship, if someone is constantly denigrating your contribution to the relationship and not respecting it, like I bring stability, I bring provider, I bring money, I bring functionality, I bring mental health, I bring sobriety. If I'm putting all of this on the table, yes, I will expect the other person not to be a fucking insane crackhead, not to be constantly threatening suicide, not to be a fucking insane homeless person who dreams of constantly running back to the streets. Yeah, respect my contribution by being as good as I try to be. On average, a woman will attempt to leave an abuser up to 7 times before she is able to break free from her toxic relationship. That doesn't indicate that because anyone leaves, they are the victim of an abuser. inversion of the logic here. Okay, that doesn't tell me that there was abuse, because there are people who leave for other reasons than abuse. And if your epistemological system cannot allow you to distinguish between, was this her leaving because she's addicted, or was this her leaving because she was abused? And to what extent is depriving someone of an addictive drug, to what extent is that abuse? Because let me tell you, the addicted person will tell you that it's abuse. They will yell at you, give me my weed! They will yell like little devils, literally, coming from hell. And they will, I can't believe you're not allowing me to get one puff! They will act like the victims of abuse. To what extent is that abuse? I don't think it is abuse, and I think I have shown Mama JF a better way. And in fact, I think that out there, if she's out there, and if she's shacked up with some other guy, I think that she may be wiser because of me. Even if in the end I didn't convince her to stay, I believe that if she reformulates her life with another man, I believe that that life will be cleaner thanks to me. I believe I have made her a better person, no matter where she is. Sneed Poster says, is JF the first person to make someone jealous in a relationship? Is that a crime now? Yeah. Yes, it was some form of use of jealousy, yes. You know, I am a biologist. I have studied the birds that will, you know, reject a male. But now you have another female. You show that the male attracts some other female. And suddenly the bird, the other female is interested because she sees, oh, wow, this guy is desirable. So yes, sometimes you can use signals that are kind of deceptive in nature. Although this was not deceptive because I actually organized the Wheel of Fortune. I actually spoke with the fat alternative. I actually live with nightmares every day of having sex with a 600-pound woman. I have gone through hell to get Mama JF back.
Of course, Mr. No Accountability would never suggest...
And see, I'm the only one who cares about the mental health of everyone here. I'm the only one who could make Mama JF better at some point in her life. I'm the only one who was able to take her out of very, very bad ways of living. And at least temporarily, for many years, get better. And they call me the guy with no accountability. I'm the only one on whom this family can sustain and exist. I'm the only one who can stabilize the situation enough that the addiction of other people does not come to impact the children involved. I'm the only one doing all of this. And yet these fucking retarded women call me the Mr. No Accountability. Well, where's your accountability, Rocky? Do you have a solution for all these women who are drug addicted and on the streets and who don't want to come out of it? Because I was able to fix this for a while at least. Do you have the beginning of a solution?
that he was the problem. No, she left because she was bad and she had bad behaviors. And she...
Yeah, and it wasn't even bad behavior toward me. Mama Jeff has always been honorable toward me, and there was no conflict. We were loving to each other and respecting each other and admiring each other. But it was a behavioral problem of hers and her wishes about life that were not compatible with what I had to give.
He didn't appreciate him. Meanwhile, he uses his platform every moment he can to humiliate her.
Absolutely false. I have done my absolute best to avoid Mama JF humiliation at all times. At times, Mama JF comes to speak in front of the camera against my will. And I'm like, no, don't do it. You're not in a state to do it. You're going to say something stupid. But she insists and she comes. So I haven't gotten the choice whether she would ridicule herself or say something that she regrets. Across the years, you know, people have been having fun clipping her, showing her in a disadvantageous or light, just like they do to me. And I've explained at the beginning to Mama JF, the thing is I'm a professional and they can clip me out of context. You're not a professional and you have no idea how bad they can make you look, which is why I had said you don't appear on camera. But she decided against my will to appear on camera. That is the story of Mama JF becoming known publicly. It's her against my will while I was trying to answer the door. Again, I'm the one responsible managing the family, answering the door, dealing with stuff. And she introduces chaos in the family by going against my will. It opens up the camera while I'm gone and shows herself publicly, and then starts saying all sorts of things publicly that allowed people to get insight into her degree of craziness. Like the moment where she accuses No White Guilt of being a ghost.
This is a very clear indication that JF is completely out of touch, and his favorite word, delusional, is very fitting for him.
Well, how many facts have I had to correct in this 8 minutes of your video? You are delusional, Rocky. And there's lots of females out there delusional, and they're a danger to society. It's not all females, but it is a fucking danger to society that we have someone here who's capable of producing a whole video in which she assumes that acts of abuse have happened where they have not.
JF is behaving like a narcissist. In the following clip, please look at Alora's body language. She's so uncomfortable.
Now, this is a complete misinterpretation of what goes on, which is why I wanted to review this video, because I'll tell you how I feel at every moment of this clip.
Insecure. She does not feel wanted. This is why she left.
Error to be interpreting a public video as, oh, this is illustrative of the dynamic between the two. Because when a woman insists on being on a stream, and I didn't want at first, but okay, I end up accepting. The insecurity that you perceive is not an insecurity in Mama JF's relationship with me. In fact, you will see that she is very loving, and I am very loving in return in this clip. The insecurity is about, hey, we have a camera here following us, and I want you to be on your best behavior. I don't want you to start yelling that I'm a ghost or that someone else is a ghost. I don't want you to start a delusional cycle. I don't want you to go into a psychosis. I don't want you to go into some addiction or some crisis. There is a lot to manage when you're faced with a woman with a very special cognition. And so the tension that you feel in that clip is that. And it's the fact that also Mama JF is not a professional. So she doesn't know how to phrase things in a way that it will be maximally informative and understandable, and where she won't be clipped out of context.
But look at the arrogance and the contempt on JF's face.
An appearance of Mama JF. Mama JF is back to the show.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Now, as a reminder, this is a moment at which she has left the family for a week or two. And I was like, at my maximum, I was like, I'm leaving you 24 hours to come back, or I'm moving on with another woman. And look at how generous and caring I am and understanding of the situation. And I'm just letting her come back.
How are you doing, Mama JF?
Good.
You've been traveling?
Yes, I went to see my...
By the way, this video is very poorly edited. Like, suddenly it stops. The music continues, but they pause the video.
family and stuff.
Okay. And now you are back with us, and you are with me all the way?
Yes, because I thought you wanted to break with me.
So here she shares a delusion, which is a delusion. I mean, it wasn't true. She went on her trip to Montreal to take drugs and think about building castles and hippie communities. And her excuse is, oh, well, I thought you didn't love me anymore. Well, first, I've never said this. Second, the brain of an addict will make up justifications for their behavior. And so that was her justification. Oh, well, I thought that you weren't with me anymore. But that is just to get her to justify. I therefore ran back to the streets.
Ah, you thought this, and so you broke with me.
And so I'm raising here the apparent irony of, oh, well, so you thought that I didn't love you anymore, so you thought that I was breaking up with you, and so instead you decided to break up with me. I was raising the irony here that this looks like a preemptive strike. It looks like Israel saying, oh yeah, we're going to bomb them preemptively because we think that they're going to bomb us, and thereby causing the escalation.
No, I thought you don't.
See, Mama JF finds my humor funny. This is what these fucking normie fatties don't understand. Rocky and the other. Mama JF has the same brain as me. She finds it funny that I raised an ironic contradiction. For your brain, it means nothing because you're too dumb. But there is something funny about the idea of a preemptive strike in the domain of love. I'm going to preemptively separate from you because I expect you will separate from me. And she's laughing her ass off because she feels the irony that I raised.
Don't love me anymore and stuff.
Ah, okay. Well, you know, I am an artist with a poker face. You have to give that to Mama JF. I am quite cold-blooded in my expression.
So here I'm doing a little comedic delivery, saying, oh, you know, I can understand, Mama JF, that you didn't feel loved. I am such an artist with a poker face. That is me trying to add a little humor to soften the subject at hand, which is a woman had abandoned her family. And by the way, the fact that a woman has abandoned her family, that was like 1 or 2 years before the final disappearance of Mama JF. Don't you want to take these facts into account in your hypothesis, Rocky? Don't you want to let it process that, hey, what happened in 2023 is exactly what happened in 2021. The only difference is that in one case, Mama JF came back. And in the other case, she disappeared. Doesn't that make the whole thing sound realistic here? That, yes, Mama JF has previously demonstrated a willingness to leave her children. Yes, Mama JF has decided to do so. And so to all of these people who are saying, I can't believe that a woman would leave her children. Well, you better believe it because it happened right there. And you have the proof right there that this happened before 2023 and that I cannot possibly have tried to kill her then because I was on PEI and she was in Montreal. So if it happened, how likely is it that it's going to happen again? Pretty likely, I would say.
Oh my god, Mela, don't kill me. I can leave if you want.
I don't.
See, did I say that I don't love her? No. But she's still in her delusion of, oh, well, you know, I can leave if you want. Well, I haven't said that. So Mama JF was in the process of creating delusions to justify her return to the streets. It's okay. It's a mechanism of self-deception. I don't blame her for this. I don't judge her for this. When you have your brain telling you, you need this, you're going to find any sort of justification to get you there. And that's what her brain was doing then.
I don't want you to leave. I've never wanted you to leave. I've always told you I will always be happy with you and I will never leave you. And it's not because I feel bound to you by force. I want to be with you. You're a wonderful woman. I mean, look at you in this beautiful dress.
So here I'm just being chivalresque and just trying to not make her look too bad and trying to demonstrate love publicly so that people don't make too much of a story from the fact that she had abandoned us for 2 weeks.
Yeah. But
and see, she is touched by it and she kisses me. This is not a woman terrified. This is not a woman abused. This is a woman who is touched by a declaration of love.
You asked the chat and they don't even want me.
Yeah, it's true. The chat was 50% saying I shouldn't accept Mama JF back.
Oh my god.
50%.
Oh no.
And the Housewives of Alberta were commenting on this, saying, I can't believe he quoted a poll of his audience, saying that they didn't want her back. Well, she talked about the poll herself, because you can see her looking at the screen. She brought it up herself. And so as a host of a show, I have the responsibility, because she was babbling about it, and say, oh, look, they don't want me back. My responsibility as a host is to restate the truth in a way that's understandable to the public. And so I take her babbling, I reformulate it so that it is restated, and the fucking stupid Housewives of Alberta don't understand this dynamic. They don't understand. So what do they say? Oh, JF brought up a poll. Well, no, see, I didn't brought up the poll. She brought it up. Dino Raja sends $20. He says, just showing some support for your show. Thanks very much, JF.
Appreciate. They're kind of like the male friends that I need to get me back into a kind of objective view of the world. Because to me, I was like, of course, let her come back. Fuck the Wheel of Fortune, you know? And anyways, this whole Wheel of Fortune experiment I've done has turned out to bring some positivity to our community, because now I'm taking the women who have applied and I'm sending them to the singles in the regular chat. And it's working.
Whoever ended up fucking the 600-pound woman, thanks for your service, sir.
Working.
Nice.
I'm pairing people who are made to be together, I'm telling you.
Nice. But anyway, like, if you want me to leave, I can just leave. Like.
No, I don't want you to leave. I'm super.
See how she ends. See how I gave my demonstration of love. I indicated my love. She was touched by it. But even now, she keeps reformulating. Well, if you want me to leave, I will leave. So this is a brain that denies reality. This is a brain that refuses to accept the declaration of love that she evidently understood. It almost brought her to tears. And she kissed me. So this is a woman, this is the mechanics of delusion. Oh, I thought you wanted me out, so I went out. Oh, I thought you didn't love me. No, I love you. Oh, well, if you don't love me, I'm going to go. See, no matter how much you correct and no matter how much you explain, no, I'm fine with you here. It doesn't help, because the reason for the delusion is ultimately the addiction. The reason for the delusion, the delusion itself is not at play. It's not what matters. It's the reason for the delusion that matters. And the reason is addiction.
We're happy with you.
It's just, I don't know where to go, because in Montreal, I have a curse there.
Oh.
See, that's another aspect of the personality of Mama JF. Mama JF believes in witchcraft and black magic. And so she says she has a curse in Montreal. So it's very unlikely that she went back to Montreal, now that I look at this statement. And in fact, there's another part of the video where she says she wanted to go to France. Maybe she would be in France. But this is a woman who believes that there are dark forces at play in the universe. Not just evil, not human beings being evil. Like demons, ghosts, witchcraft, sortilege, curses.
And yeah, there's a guy who did black magic on me like 6 years ago.
So there you go. There is a guy who's pursuing her. He did black magic on her years ago. And this is kind of within the scope of the delusion where she believes that no white guilt is a ghost. I think it may be the same guy that she's talking about here. I don't think that this guy necessarily exists. I think that this guy, at many points in her life, she has said, this is the guy that's pursuing me. Like, you've seen it with no white guilt. But then it can move to another guy. Oh, this is the same ghost. This is the ghost, but he's taken another body. This is how Mama JF thinks.
And since then, I'm cursed and I cannot go there.
Black magic is a big problem.
Yeah.
Oh man, laughing at my own jokes. I can't believe I could say that one with a straight face. Black magic is a serious problem.
Yes, and so I don't know where I'm gonna go. I cannot go to Montreal.
And so see, that's probably very informative on how she felt when she left the second time. So we know she was in Moncton, New Brunswick, and probably her situation there was, oh well, there's dark magic being made against me in Montreal, I can't go to Montreal. So she probably went for something bolder that time. Wherever she went, did she put herself at risk? You know, sometimes you take these immigration deals, oh, we're going to pass you through the border without passport, and eventually you get killed along the way. Or you take a trucker that promises you to bring you wherever you want, but you end up raped and murdered.
Maybe I will go live in France.
France?
See, she wants to go in France then.
Yes.
Well, it seems like a place of resistance. It seems like you could lead some protest against the health pass there.
Yes.
But
I think I'm gonna need to...
See here, I was connecting with Mama JF because I know that one thing that Mama JF hates was the COVID rules and all. So I'm like, hey, let's extend an olive branch here. Oh, you know, if you ever go in France, you could become a revolutionary against COVID rules there.
To get vaccine, to go there, to go protest against vaccine.
And so here we're both laughing at the idea of Mama JF with a baguette in France being her usual revolutionary. That is a good relationship, actually. When you consider the circumstances, and when you consider just how much I had to endure to bring her there, that's actually a very healthy relationship there. And the Alberta Housewives are trying to frame this as pathological, but no. This is a relationship of the kind that no one connected with Mama JF that way before. I could laugh with her about, oh yeah, you know, crazy resistance movements in France.
you're gonna need the vaccine to enter France, but then you can protest. Yeah. Now you were talking about black magics. That's a superstition.
Oh, but Vlad the Empire disagrees with me. He says, you are a narcissist, JF. That is not a narcissist. And that is me trying to smooth out things. You have no idea how much smoothing out I'm capable of. It's me almost being vicious in my smoothing out of things. It's me expending massive amounts of cognitive energy to say things that are light, to welcome her back.
What about people were talking about flat Earth? Do you believe in the flat Earth?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say something about this. You remember one time we went to eat at my parents' house, and my father is a scientist guy, okay, and he worked with... he's like a master of physics.
Master of physics?
My father.
Yes, he is.
Okay, and you remember...
I'm merely here repeating because I know that she doesn't express herself in a way where all of the crowd will understand her accent. So I'm just repeating the facts. Yes, her father is a master of physics.
Remember what he said? He said, in my work, we calculate everything like if the earth was flat, and
so she's claiming that her father would have said, and I think there was a discussion along those lines, but I think she's kind of pushing it in her flatter direction. She's claiming that in that discussion, her father would have said something along the lines of, we are working with an assumption that the earth is flat.
Then he made a little wink like this.
And then she saw her father. I can't believe that the Alberta Housewives are trying to frame this as unhealthy. Because I'm not laughing at her here. I'm laughing with her. Mama JF saw her father talk about flat earth assumptions and the mathematics of hurt modeling. But she believes she saw she believes she saw him wink. And she has written that moment as, oh well, okay dad, yeah. You know, the earth is round, yeah. Yeah. Mama Jeff has decided to assume that her father was telling her secret messages, that her father was part of a secret society of physicists. Now, her father is an actual physicist, but she has decided to believe that that wink that he may have done or probably didn't do, that this wink indicated that the earth is actually flat. I find this fucking hilarious. It's not me laughing at Mama JF as the Alberta Housewives claim. I laugh at the enormity of the situation, where the misinterpretation here of a wink leads Mama JF to have a completely false model of the world by the standard of her physicist father and me, because I believe in the globe earth.
Oh my god.
Oh no, you misinterpreted what your father...
And see here, I'm trying to bridge the humor so that the audience, who may not be attentive at all points of this discussion, just so that they can understand how funny that is. I say, oh, this is a misinterpretation, Mama JF. You've misinterpreted a wink. And the and that is narcissism to them.
Oh my god.
This is one of the most wholesome scene that I've seen on the internet for a long time, let me tell you. Have you seen something as wholesome as this recently? That is pretty fucking wholesome. We're both laughing wholeheartedly after coming back together at a possible misinterpretation that may have happened between her, a very fucked up mind and like paranoid mind, and her physicist climate father, leading her to think that actually the earth is flat. That is fucking hilarious. They dare put narcissist...
Oh no, you misinterpreted what your father...
And see, she understands how funny it is. But the Alberta Housewives are layering their stupid interpretation of this whole thing. Classic narcissist! He's laughing. Unbelievable. These people are not human. I'm gonna come out and say it. These people are not human. They are so fucked up in the head that they see mental healthiness and they can't conceive of it. So they construct, oh, narcissism. Oh, he's an asshole. Oh, he's not respecting her beliefs.
In mid-2022, JF and Alora celebrated the birth of their... Since the two of them did it completely alone.
They don't even edit properly. They have narration that steps over, that cuts. It's like they seemingly were about to say something about children, but then... by the way, this is not me that have edited their video. This is their edit. They're that bad.
Alora had only JF to rely...
By the way, this child here is an halfling. She is missing... She is missing a lower part of her body. She is integrated to the picnic nap. What the fuck? And she's drinking red wine.
...rely on for support as she gave birth to her son.
Then, June 17th, 2023, exactly 2 years ago.
I love that these are AI reproductions of my actual life. Unbelievable. With Mama JF distraught and left behind.
Today, Alora vanished. JF has told several different versions of what has happened.
That is absolutely untrue. Every time I talk about this subject, everything I say has been consistent and true. Now, I may make a narrative one night where, okay, I'm going to focus on this part of the story. And then I get some super chats that are asking me about some other part of the story. Well, here's how that happened. But at no point in time have I ever said anything false or contradictory. Never. So, if it was the case, I'm online every night. If I had said something false, you would have a clip of it. You could be able to point to say to your audience, this is the statement that he said then. This is demonstrating that this is false. But you don't do that. You just throw it like he's made a lot of statements about this that don't make sense.
Not one of them adds up. In one version, Elora simply walked away, left her kids, her home, her life, to live off-grid in the woods.
That's what she did. She did it in 2021, whatever that year, whatever, maybe 2022. She did it that one time after our first baby, and she did it the second time where she disappeared for good.
Alone. He says there was no argument, no goodbye, just a calm decision that he...
That is true. No argument. She had been planning this for many months, years. In fact, the first time she came back, I always have a knife. That's 30 minutes of JF pictures, always with a knife. In fact, the moment she came back the first time, Mama JF was pretty clear. Although, there's variations in a relationship, and sometimes she was loving and caring, but it was pretty clear that she was intending eventually to go away again. It was pretty clear that, okay, I'm going to accept your argument for now. I'm going to come back. We're going to have a baby. But then it was pretty clear, although not always explicitly stated, it was pretty clear that she was going away eventually. That she wanted to do her obligations, breastfeeding, giving birth, giving care, making sure that I'm all set up and okay, but that then she would go away.
Ever the gentleman drove her 1.5 hours to a gas station near...
That's pretty gentlemanly. By the way, if I make 1 more kilometer on this road, I have to pay $60 just to pass that bridge because it's a high-priced bridge. And so, typically, what I was saying to Mama Jeff is, look, I can't do the whole drive of 13 hours. That's not good on me. It's too costly for the family, and I just can't. And it's going to disrupt my work. I'm not making money then, and then I can't sustain the family. So what I can do is drive you to the main street here where all the truckers pass because they need to get to the bridge. So I can drop you there. And Mama Jeff was very fine with this because that was her favorite street because it's exactly where all the truckers of PEI converge that are headed toward Quebec or toward New Brunswick. It was the perfect spot, and I was saving $60 by not crossing the bridge. And visibly, that wasn't a problem for Mama Jeff because she successfully crossed the bridge with her trucker friends. So, however she was doing it, she had demonstrated in the past that she could do this. Neymar fan says, JF, why do you think feminists are obsessed with telling men that they misunderstood movies like Fight Club, American Psycho, and Joker? Bro, we have to talk about this on another show because I need to move through this video, but I think you're onto something here. There's something very bizarre. Women have this conviction that their interpretation of the world is unique and true, when in fact it's perspective-based and many times false. So we can get in depth into this, but women have this conception that they have some secret understanding of emotions that is so superior to males, and that males are basically retards of this domain. But this supposedly superior domain that they are supposedly master of is a domain of multiplicity. A domain where no answer is actually true, where the truth isn't a thing, where you can keep pursuing it. It's never quite enough. It's the domain of woman. It's the domain of delusions and fiction.
The Confederation Bridge. There he claims he dropped her off.
Yeah, I dropped her off, and the police saw her then in Moncton, the other side of the bridge on the other province, and I cannot possibly have traveled this bridge without leaving some record, because I would have had to pay the fee in front of the cameras of the bridge.
She had no bag, no money, only her phone. She was never.
That is not true. She had a bag. She had camping materials of various sorts that she had selected across the months, many of which I have paid for. Not that I was agreeing with her trip, but I was supporting her. I had also given her a couple $100, and her parents had given her a couple $100. So I would estimate she may have had $500 or $600 total on her when leaving, plus all of her material that she intended to use during the trip.
To be seen again. 2 days later, he says she called him just to make sure he had her passwords. Then she disappeared forever. JF said he was
We're back to the sinister look.
fine with this, and he was not worried about her. He had explained.
Well, the thing is, everyone around Mama JF knows that her lifestyle involves massive risks. So there is some worry when you are with someone like this. I'm sure that her parents have been worried to death all of their life, way before Mama JF knew me. They have been worried constantly because she would disappear, switch continent, not call back, not leave any information to trace her. But when you know that you're someone like this, when you know that you're someone like this, you eventually end up tolerating it. You end up saying, all right, I have informed her of the risk. She knows what she's getting into. I cannot carry guilt for something that I've counseled her not to do. I cannot carry constant nervousness given that she made this choice and that I tried all my best to counsel her against it. Beth Saxon says, I'm just not brave enough to be inseminated a woman, to inseminate a woman as crazy as Mama JF, and that's why I'm still childless at 38. Exactly. You have to get down into the dirty game. The dirty game is there. The margins. You have to play the margins correctly. And if you ended up with no children at 38, it's because you've been too safe. You've been playing it too safe. You need to broaden your horizons.
In the past, this is the type of woman she is, a woman of the street. JF says he dropped Alora off.
I mean, there is record of this for a decade before I knew her. Arrest, public derangement problems, public nudity, drug taking, delusions. There is a complete record on the internet of her being a woman of the street.
And went back home, where he cleaned and sanitized the home for 3
So some neighbor took a picture of that day where I knew that a trash truck was coming to collect all that I decided to get rid of. And so I laid out these things on my lawn. And of course, so it looks disordered, but that just lasted less than 24 hours. And that was not, by the way, at the moment of the disappearance of Mama JF. That is a picture from a moment where I'm with my new girlfriend. Mama JF has been disappeared for, I don't know, a couple of months. Has been publicly declared missing. And that is a picture of a moment in which I'm making more space in the house. First, because there was an accumulation of things I didn't need, and second, because there was this new woman in my life, and I wanted to arrange the house in a way where she would have space, where she would have her own space to think, work, and play on computer and whatever.
3 days, erasing all female touches. One of the most concerning things about Alora's disappearance is that
Yeah, it's like, yeah. When a single dad gets abandoned by his wife, and therefore becoming a single dad, he's going to erase some of the female touches to the house, and the house is going to be a little more masculine. A little more, whatever. Maybe functional. Maybe less clutter. Maybe less craziness. Maybe less useless decorations. And maybe more tool functionality oriented. That makes sense to me. If I was in a single mom's house or apartment, I would expect it to be femininely decorated. If I'm in a single dad's house or apartment, it's probably going to be masculinely decorated.
JF never reported missing persons report was made public.
There's two narrators in their edit. They're speaking over each other.
October 10th, 2023. Almost 4 full months after JF says he dropped her off at the bridge to go live off-grid. Since then, has been silence. Silence except for one disrespectful, ever-changing story after another from JF.
My story never changed. I challenge you to take any statement I have done publicly about this and say, that was a change, and I'll answer to it. In fact, I would go on your show if you want. To have you call out my lies to my face. Let's do this.
No sightings, no contact, no trace. With so little known about her outside her relationship, we made it our mission to speak with people who had known Alora directly.
And here's the problem with this method. People who are troubled in their mental health, people who are troubled, addicted, or whatever trouble they face, they have an entire social life in which they display normalness. That is basically the goal of a social life is, oh, well, let me call you and let me meet you at the park where I can show you just how normal I am. And Mama JF was, of course, doing this. And the problem is if you call everyone in O'Leary and say, send me emails if you knew Mama JF, what you're going to face is there's a bunch of people who have not experienced Mama JF in any way that is serious and in any way that is extensive. They've experienced the best and the public face of Mama JF. What this picture is missing is that Mama JF was not keeping those respectful relationships for long. Mama JF, eventually, with everyone, and there is not a single person that doesn't qualify to this statement. Every single friend or relationship of Mama JF would start normal, and then she would begin hallucinating. She would start claiming things that against them, and she would lose these friendships because she would go too hard and too aggressive on them. This could sometimes take the form of exactly what she had done with her father, you see? A wink. Sometimes your eyes would just wink at the wrong moment, and Mama JF would go, what did he mean by this? Are you telling me that you're interested in me? I'm with JF. Are you telling me that you want sex with me? So Mama JF was interpreting these little social signals, sometimes extremely wrong. And it was leading her to lose all of her friendships very often, and to eventually lose her job.
The more you learn about her, the real her, the more you realize. But this case deserves far more attention than it's received. One neighbor told us about moving in next door. Alora had just given birth to her son. The new neighbor had a 4-month-old baby. Alora was thrilled. She brought over homemade beef bone broth and explained its benefits for postpartum mothers. When she found out her neighbor was a vegetarian, she came back later with seaweed and tofu soup that she had researched was also beneficial for postpartum mothers.
I remember this moment.
This is a very
So that's just Mama JF distributing soup locally. because it was a thing between, you know, these women involved in pregnancy conversation and courses. Oh, you should eat this, you should eat that. And she had given the soup to a new neighbor woman that was there.
Very small moment, but showing her big heart, showing how Elora loved people.
Definitely. That is a feature of Mama JF. She has been always giving too much, you know, sometimes bringing a cake to someone who doesn't want a cake, but always with the eye of generosity and community.
Giving, and JF was slowly taking that away from her.
No! It's unbelievable that these people are assuming that JF took that from her. I was the one paying for this fucking seaweed. Do you know how much it cost? Do you know how much it cost, this fucking seaweed, Miss Alberta Housewife? Do you have any fucking clue how this green shit with no nutrient cost in a fucking Asian grocery store of Charlottetown? It cost $27. That's the fucking spice. It cost $27 for a fucking dried plant, okay? And not only do I allow Mama JF at this time to share soups with everyone, I fund her hobby. I'm the one paying for the fucking green seaweed that went into this generous soup. Where this hurts is that these people assume JF must have been against this idea of giving soup. No, I was encouraging Mama JF toward these acts of giving and community building because I knew that this was keeping her lid of addiction onto her head. I knew that the more normal relationship she could build and maintain, the more she was integrated to a normal life where she wouldn't pursue craziness. And so, even if it meant losing a lot of money to me, and even if it's completely stupid to be giving a seaweed soup with $27 worth of seaweed to a neighbor that didn't ask for it, and that you're not even sure if she's going to consume it, it's aggressive socially, it's kind of looking like you're trying to invade on their personal space. It's awkward, but I still allowed Mama JF and funded the possibility of these soups because I knew that it was allowing her a path to normality. And these people don't see it. They see me as, oh, you must have been blocking those soups. On what kind of facts do you state this? I've always been encouraging Mama JF to pursue these pro-social tendencies of her, even if I knew they were delusional, even if I knew that down the line, probably this soup was going to the trash. See, this is what the neighbor don't tell you. Did she eat the fucking soup? Because this soup is bizarre, with a seaweed chew in it that's very bizarre. If a random person was to come and say, Jeff, here's my gigantic pan of soup, of seaweed soup for you, I'm telling you it's going straight to the trash. And it's not because I don't appreciate Asian food sometimes. It's just that militarily and tactically, I cannot trust a random person coming to me with food.
We really, really wanted to get to know who Elora really was, beyond the JF, beyond the videos out there.
But the thing is, you assume that I had a tint onto her that is negative, and that she looked bad in these videos because of me. But it's the contrary. The Mama JF that you see laughing wholeheartedly, the Mama JF that you see at times delusional, at times crazy, at times, pursuing hallucinations, that is the real Mama JF. It's the only one that actually exists. And the only people who know that this is the real Mama JF are those people who have had extensive relationship with her. And that's why when these Housewives of Alberta wrote to Mama JF's family, the response of Mama JF's family were, we're not participating to your video. We don't want to go public with this or anything. So we hope that you find Mama JF. Good luck. And we would love if you did find her. But we have nothing to say for your video because the fact is, people who are close to Mama JF understand the intensity of the craziness of her mind and her life. And they know that it's not unlikely at all that Mama JF went on a trip. They know that it's not unlikely at all that she would leave 2 children behind. They know that it's not unlikely at all that she would act in these bizarre ways in videos. Because that's the real Mama JF, but you refuse to see it. You'd rather invent a fictitious Mama JF that doesn't exist. One that is not crazy, one that is not loose thinking, one that is not inducing chaos wherever she went.
On the internet of her are pretty disparaging. Even I was caught off guard by them. So I decided to reach out and find as many people as I could who were willing to speak to me. The people that I spoke to said that Alora never acted or behaved the way she did on stream in real life.
Yeah, you spoke to people who spoke to her for a minute. Literally, the seaweed woman, the woman of the seaweed soup, has had a total of 1 minute of interaction with Mama JF. Now, do you really think that in 1 minute you're gonna get the truth about someone? Do you really think that in 1 minute you're gonna detect if they have delusions or if they're a little crazy or creative? No.
Life. She maintained a job at as a cook at the Burger Shack in PEI.
So Mama JF, between pregnancies, wanted a little more money than I could give her, and I was able to just sustain her in terms of basic food and basic needs, but she wanted more money, so she went to work at a burger joint. And it was a very good burger place. It was the Backwoods Burger. But eventually she caused too much conflict and had to go. She was misinterpreting a lot of the social signals in that workplace. And that was causing conflict within the team.
Talked to people in moms groups all the time. She attended herbal classes.
So not all the time, but there were periods where Mama JF was highly interested in mom groups, freedom groups, community telegram channels where we would meet and we would go out with these people and do a walk in the park with the children or do activities ABC with the children.
Alora was not low IQ. She was not psychotic. She was not...
It is correct that she was not low IQ. She was very intelligent violin player. We have seen that she's definitely 120 to 130 IQ. But she was definitely psychotic. She is definitely a psychotic woman. Now, I'm not saying this pejoratively, but just list all of her behaviors that you've observed in all of the streams to a psychiatrist, and they will tell you that is psychosis.
Cruel or indifferent, and she absolutely loved being a mother. Every single one of them said
she loved it. That is correct, but also she didn't want it anymore. She wanted to go away from it. So sometimes you can enjoy something, but ultimately you feel that you are appealed to something else. And that was what happened to Mama JF. She, like, on the everyday, she wasn't a bad mom at all. She was interested in being the best mom she could be. But the overall idea in life of being a mom, it wasn't for her anymore. So she went away.
They do not believe she would have left those children. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, because they don't know her at all. Because you're talking to people who have known her in very restricted context, where she has displayed her most pro-social self. And so, of course, these parent groups where we were going, we were smiling, being normies. Aha, yeah. Hello. oh yeah, let's carry the kids, haha. So that's all they know of Mama JF. They don't know the crazy aspect inside her mind.
Absolutely not. One of the reasons I believe that...
Oh, I have a knife once again. Once again, you know, I hang out with so many knives all the time.
Every single one of them said they do not believe she would have left those children. Absolutely not. One of the reasons I believe...
There I am. With my usual knife, always have a knife on me.
Believe that Laura could have been on medication, prescribed medication, is because JF often refers to her as bipolar. He is a doctor, after all.
I have never referred to her publicly as bipolar, and I would not allow myself such a diagnosis, because ultimately, I do not want to disparage Mama JF. So it's not true that, you know, if you read this text right here, nowhere in there do I say Mama JF is bipolar. I don't even believe that this would be the correct diagnosis. But I want to do a public diagnosis of her because I don't see any point. I don't judge her, and I don't hate her, and I don't want to disparage her or attack her privacy. So however Mama JF was, she had the right to be that way. That was the feature of her minds. I'm fine with it.
So, in discussion with the Wynants and some of the people who knew Laura, I asked what could have made Laura behave in certain ways during...
And this is defamatory to the point where I think I have a lawsuit here. I think I could sue these fucking women of the Alberta Housewives. Because here, not only are they violating the private life of Mama JF medically, but they're making extrapolations that are entirely false. So let me be clear. They're claiming that Mama JF was on benzodiazepine. What is the basis for this evidence? Well, we've been asking the wine aunts of PEI. Are you fucking kidding me? You're asking random wine aunts of PEI who are obsessive about our lives and who are taking photos of my fucking yard when I do a just junk transfer of property. And these people will be able to guess what medication Mama JF is taking. Well, their guess is wrong. Because they told the Alberta Housewife that Mama JF may have been on Ativan, benzodiazepines, Xanax, or Valium. Or a combination of alcohol plus this. Mama JF was on none of these drugs. Mama JF, from the moment I was with her to the last day I saw her, has never been on any psychiatric drug that would in fact go very much against what she would want. She doesn't like psychiatric drugs. She doesn't like hospitals. She has never consumed these drugs, Xanax or Valium. Mama JF had some experience with recreative drugs, but she has never been on any of these drugs during our relationship, on any psychiatric medication, and in fact any medication at all. Mama JF was a full nature hippie. And look at the extrapolation here from the wine aunt's emails.
Some of the people who knew Laura, I asked what could have made Laura behave in certain ways during streams, where she was acting emotional and a bit, delusional, saying things that don't make sense, and all around just seeming a little bit off. Every single person agreed alcohol had a tremendous impact, and a lot of people are suspecting that she was on an anti-anxiety drug, such as maybe...
Verifiably false. Mama JF was not on any of these drugs listed, nor on any psychiatric medication.
Benzos or something else. So we researched it, and sure enough, if you're taking benzos and alcohol...
And now look at the layer of extrapolation. So now we've invented fake medication that Mama JF is on, and look, I can find a little paragraph on the internet that says that sometimes a narcissist will convince you that you're crazy and that you need these medications. So now JF is a narcissist for giving her Xanax. But she's never taken Xanax. JF has never taken Xanax. JF has never given Xanax to Mama JF. You are in a fucking delusion. I can't believe that these people can just be publicly spouting this shit. Absolute falsehoods. All the line. From, oh yeah, well, then we are talking about abuse. Because if the wine aunts has decided that Mama JF may have been on that benzodiazepine, and JF is a narcissist, and there are paragraphs on the internet that says that narcissists are giving Xanax to their girlfriends, extrapolation, all based on false premises. Absolute bullshit. This is what happens when you do not have an epistemology.
Alcohol or something similar to benzos, you can get psychotic. You can get delirious.
And so now Mama JF's psychosis was because JF was forcing her on Xanax. No. Mama JF has been in this state before any sort of medication that she was using, and she was not using medications from the doctors. The only drugs that she was on were recreational drugs.
Blurring your words, you're not as focused. Obviously, you're intoxicated. So I'm asking.
It's like they are recycling this clip. It's like, oh, we got 2 seconds of JF raising a knife to cut a pear. What if we just loop through it? So he's constantly raising the knife like this. That's what they're doing. They are recycling a looped form of me raising the knife.
You to consider when you see these videos of her, ask yourself, is JF putting her on screen to look a fool for a certain reason?
No, because it was always my position that she should not be on screen. Mama JF insisted to use her liberty as an adult to go against my counsel and went on screen.
Because he sure doesn't have. He deleted her entire YouTube channel, so we don't.
I didn't delete her YouTube channel. Mama JF eventually was pursued by the shadow banning and the censorship and the TOS because she had made some statements against immigration, and eventually we all deleted our channels. I deleted my channels, she deleted hers, because those channels had been neutralized by shadow banning because they were anti-immigration channels.
Don't even have that much to compare it to, but all of the ones where she's acting off, those ones are still online. It's very, very, very concerning.
But guess why? Guess why? The moment you call someone else a ghost on the internet, it gets clipped and it stays on the internet forever on channels that I don't control and that I cannot delete. Guess what is the mechanism behind this? And guess why I've always said, Mama JF, don't appear. That is exactly because I knew that would happen. Am I not a visionary? I was able to say to Mama JF before she ever appeared on camera, don't appear on camera, it's not going to be good. It's going to put us in all sorts of trouble. It's going to create a permanent record about you. They're going to clip it in all sorts of ways to laugh at you, to try to mock you, to misinterpret your life, and you're going to gain nothing from it. That was what I said at the beginning to Mama JF.
Turning. This next clip is very hard to watch. The way he treats her in this next clip, it's heartbreaking.
We don't know nothing how to do.
Again, I don't know what they reproach of me in this clip. This looks like a very wholesome situation with Mama JF.
Well, I know how to do a greenhouse, evidently. Bring it back there. Gonna ban Mama JF.
Yeah, you can clip out. You can clip out a man saying an order to a woman. Ooh, like over hours of interacting and having fun. Hey, why don't you take this plate, woman? And it's really me. It's me exaggerating in a comedic fashion to make it interesting, and it was not disparaging toward Mama JF at all. So we have, I think we have reviewed what I wanted to review. Again, we have a moment where Mama JF cries, but it's a wholesome moment.
Actually,
You are back on the
affected
show.
me.
Now,
I
be
feel
careful
incredibly
with,
sad.
Pause this.
Oh, well, don't cry, you know. But
She says, I'm about to cry. That was because earlier in that stream, I had banned a couple of people from the regular chat, and I had said, Mama JF, you go off screen for a while, I'm banning you. And I believe that I may have banned Mama JF on the chat. And that was because they were starting to have fun and violate TOS to put my channel in trouble. And so when Mama JF comes back, she's crying because she feels guilty that she may have deprived the family of an income by saying these racist things or homophobic. I don't remember exactly what it was. Doesn't matter. She had violated the TOS on the regular chat. And when she's crying like this, you will notice she says, I'm so sad, JF, because we're having so much fun. And then the TOS comes cracking down on us. She's crying because she feels oppressed by Susan Wojcicki. And as a big fan of free speech, she is feeling that the TOS is coming to crack her party. She wanted to be careless. She wanted to express jokes and edgy stuff on the chat. And she was seeing that it was torturing for me to be forced to ban my friends and to ban her from the chat because they were putting the channel in trouble. So again, you have the Alberta Housewives misinterpreting, oh, Jeff doesn't care about her crying. I care, but you don't even understand why she's crying. She's not crying because I banned her. She's crying because she finds the TOS annoying. And she says as much in your own video, which is clipped to make me look bad in the way you can most make me look bad, and yet it's still not so bad. Yet you still reveal in that video that she was crying because she felt harassed by the TOS. Silver Spider says, I don't know, Jeff. That was a pretty convincing character assassination. The whole chat is started to suspect you now. Well, I think that you are being sarcastic here. Now, the way they finished this video is actually fucking hilarious because they try to make a final case that I'm the massive asshole, the most careless asshole in the universe, and therefore I killed Mama JF. But they show these comedic parts of my statements, which I was rolling on the floor laughing, just listening back to these jokes, including my appearance on Dick Masterson. Danotube says, bring back Mama JF. Unless there are developments in necromancy that are...
Which is basically, if you don't know, is the magic that raises the dead.
Let me explain here, because there may be some people who don't understand what's going on, okay? And I'm low IQ Andy, so I can understand it in the way that you understand. JF is suggesting that Mama JF is dead, and that we would need necromancy to raise her zombie body up. Yeah, that is fucking hilarious, man. That is fucking hilarious, Andy. Human bone chunks stuck between the teeth. He needed a big flow of water to clean, because let me tell you, human bone, when you chew on it, this is fucking hilarious. It takes a while to clean the mouth. I'm just a family guy who wanted a large family with a single woman, but the world didn't want to give it to me. And so I'm on a quest of vengeance. And I spray and pray. What is there to expect, Humans have not evolved to think or to relate to reality. As it turns out, when your main job in life is to prepare a spaghetti sauce, it's not that dramatic. If you put... I stand behind my art. I close my case. Yes, Mr. Wisco, that is objectively hilarious. When your role in life is to make a spaghetti sauce, it doesn't really matter if you're in contact with reality. I rest my case, Your Honor!
Thank you for watching this clip by Colonel J. This is the King of Bull here. Remember to like and subscribe. Juice!